happened, 911?
I need to the police here. What's the problem? Just for people run here throw garbage to the back at the store. There's so a lot of flies around, and I called my boss. He told me with an animal so he get a stick and pull up a little bit of flies. So he ran to the store and told me it's a human person for the police.
They're coming. Stay on the phone with me to the police station, okay?
Okay.
Detectives rushed to the scene, and what they discovered left everyone in shock.
The victim was found laying face down. She was partially nude, and there had been a plastic bag placed over her before the headboard had then been placed over the body as well. She was found in a dress. However, the dress had been pulled down below her breast. She also had a pair of shorts that appeared to have been removed from her and left between her legs. There's a purse strap that's tied around her hands in order to bind her hands behind her back. Inside the dumpster, they found a clear plastic bag that contained personal items, most important of which were pieces of mail, as well as a wallet that ultimately had a Florida identification card. The lady was identified as Laura Pitcher. We established that she's not actually local to the Tampa area and lives in a town that's about 2 hours away called Sebring, Florida. It's not a place that you would commonly go back and forth from. Further investigation reveals that Ms. Pitcher has a pickup truck. It's a silver Toyota Tundra that she is known to drive. It's possible that she came to Tampa in that truck. The truck is entered into law enforcement databases, reported as a stolen truck in case any law enforcement officer anywhere should find it.
Investigators turned to the restaurant manager, pressing for answers.
The owners of the business had had the parking lot cleaned 2 days before on Wednesday. The body is then found on Friday morning. We know that this body has to be placed there somewhere between Wednesday and Friday. They're looking to see if there's video that documents whatever may have happened. Surveillance footage will typically make or break a case. Tampa police officers were not able to find anything of value regarding the placement of the body or who might have been involved. She had clear marks in the area of her neck and throat that showed that she had been strangled by some sort of thin object like a rope. By the time the body had been discovered, it had entered decomposition, and that compromised any chance of discovering whether or not there was any sort of DNA that would have substantiated some sort of sexual crime. The skin was discolored, and it was clear that the body had been on the ground at least for several hours, if not a couple days.
The medical examiner confirmed Laura had died on Wednesday, 2 days before her body was found.
They checked to see if the truck was anywhere to be found, but the truck was not found there. There doesn't appear to be any clear idea as to why Laura is in town. Her appearance in Tampa is completely unexpected. There was phone calls between the hours of roughly 1 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday. When she stops being active on the cell phone, that's obviously an indication of when something may have gone wrong.
Cell phone records showed Laura's last calls were to a man named Vidal Cortez. When investigators asked about him, friends revealed he was Laura's on-again, off-again boyfriend, and what they uncovered next was deeply disturbing.
You get a break. The Toyota Tundra is reported as being involved in an incident here in Tampa.
Investigators discovered Laura's truck outside a convenience store. When they checked the surveillance footage, what they saw was horrifying. On the CCTV footage, investigators could never get a clear look at the man in the white cap, and with no more information, the mystery deepened. Investigators went to Laura's home to deliver the heartbreaking news. And the moment her family heard it, their world shattered.
We'll remember that forever. I knew when an officer comes to your door at 8:30 at night, something not good was up. When he said that she's a homicide victim, that's when I kind of lost it.
It was shocking. I was blown away.
Oh, it was just overwhelming. I mean, that's something no parent should ever have to hear.
She was so sweet, always smiling. I loved her so much that I can't imagine who would want to kill Laura.
I found out from her father. I don't believe I ever cried harder in my life than he told me. I lost my mom when I was a kid, and I don't think I cried as hard as I did when I heard the news of Laura.
Not long after, Laura's truck was found, and with it, investigators identified a man connected to the case.
The truck was eventually found on the roadway. It looked like it had been involved in a minor accident. The person in the truck identified himself as Calvin Gary, who's seated in the passenger seat. There's nobody in the driver's seat. There's a pair of shoes that are left behind. And it's obvious that the driver of the truck has fled. Now they start searching Mr. Gary. He's wearing an ankle monitor because he's on probation. The truck is impounded by the police department and collected as potential evidence. Mr. Gary says that the truck has been in the possession of somebody he knows by the nickname of Hot. Hot had recently arrived in the area and they were going to do a beer run, as he calls it, at the convenience store and try to get some beer. He doesn't know where the truck comes from. He says he doesn't know anything about Laura, has no idea about what happened to her. He's able to provide a sort of general description. He tells the law enforcement that he's a male, he's African-American, and that he's relatively short.
Gary told investigators he was homeless, living in a hut in North Tampa. Detectives rushed to the location, and what they finally saw left them stunned.
So the detectives looked around and discovered a short African-American male hiding in sort of a bushy area out of view. He had on a shirt, pair of pants, didn't have any shoes on. The suspect is uncooperative. He won't even identify himself at the request of law enforcement. They believe him to be Hot based on the description by Calvin Gary. This is obviously someone they really want to talk to.
Investigators used Rapid ID to confirm the suspect's identity, and discovered his real name was Gary Danielle. What they uncovered about his past was shocking.
Mr. Danielle had an extensive criminal history. He'd actually been to prison 3 times previously. He'd been there for drug dealing, drug possession, robbery, and other violent crimes. Mr. Danielle is from the Sebring area, which is the same hometown that Laura is from. They believe that he's the driver of Laura's truck, given the fact that he is suspiciously not wearing any shoes when shoes are left inside the truck. So all of those things raise a tremendous amount of red flags for him as a suspect.
With no evidence linking Gary to the crime, investigators were forced to release him. They then turned their focus to gathering more information about Calvin.
Because Calvin Gary is wearing an ankle monitor, it's possible for law enforcement to go back and track his movement. It confirms that he's never in Sebring, Florida, and also that he's not at the scene of the dumpster where Laura's body is ultimately found. Calvin Gary is removed as a possible suspect. He has pretty much an airtight alibi thanks to the ankle monitor.
Investigators uncovered new information. Laura had been at the Wild Hog Bar on October 16th. They moved quickly to collect more details about her time there. Investigators spoke with the bar's manager, and what he revealed brought them closer to the truth.
Laura and I were friends through the neighborhood inn. She came here for a bite to eat all the time. She felt like part of the family to me, but I took this one personal. I wanted to know. I wanted answers. And I was damned. I was going to get some answers one way or the other. I was going to get answers. She came into the restaurant dressed to the nines. She looked great coming in. And she had that smile and her makeup on, and little I know, that was the last time.
Investigators then reviewed the bar's surveillance cameras, and the footage revealed a critical piece of the puzzle.
Laura's wearing the same dress that she's ultimately found in when her body is discovered.
She sat there. She didn't have any alcohol or anything like that. Waitress that was working at the time gave her beverage and brought her dinner to her. And the two of them were chatting away.
There's nobody bothering her or anything that aroused suspicion.
And she was sitting at the bar alone, and the only conversation she had was with the waitress until it was time to go. She probably stayed there, I'd say it's a matter of hours, and then she left, probably close to 11 p.m. at night. And she was going downtown to meet the other girlfriends and whoever else might be going. So with Shorty, I said, Shorty? Who's Shorty? He says, little dude. About 2:45 in the morning, he saw her at the convenience store gas station on the other side of town. And happened to see Laura sitting in her pickup truck. She stayed in the truck. He had the conversation with Shorty inside the store. And he said Laura and Shorty left together.
The eyewitness doesn't describe Laura as in distress or crying or injured or anything at that point.
Next, investigators went to a gas station and checked the surveillance cameras, and what they uncovered was truly horrifying.
It becomes fairly clear that Gary Danielle is inside the gas station. The eyewitness is there with him. They're clearly having some sort of pleasant conversation. The truck is there, but you can't specifically tell whether or not she's inside of it and what she's doing inside of it. So all you can see is the truck. But all of this corroborates the story told by the eyewitness, who said he specifically saw Mr. Danielle and Ms. Pitcher together at that gas station in the Sebring area on the early morning of Wednesday. Mr. Danielle is now certainly the suspect, confirmed by the fact that just 2 days after Laura's body turns up, Mr. Danielle is now driving the truck in Tampa.
Investigators examined the items recovered from the dumpster, and among the trash, they discovered something important.
There was an ATM receipt that was partially torn, but that ATM receipt had information contained on it that allowed law enforcement to pinpoint to one particular ATM at a gas station in Hillsborough County near Tampa.
Investigators then checked the ATM's CCTV footage, and in those frames, they finally uncovered the answer to all their questions. The footage showed Daniel driving Laura's car and withdrawing cash from her account. Daniel then bought a soda and walked out of the store. Investigators tried to study the footage closely, hoping to see if Laura was inside the car, but she was nowhere in sight.
What's not seen is Miss Pitcher. She's not seen inside the store. She's not seen outside the store. She's not seen in the truck. No point is Miss Pitcher anywhere to be seen. By this point, we're thinking that Laura Pitcher is already dead. He has her in the back of the truck, and that he's just on the way ultimately to the place where he's going to dump the body.
Investigators brought Daniel in for an interview, hoping his answers would reveal the truth.
Mr. Danielle chooses to show up at Tampa Police Headquarters on his own, unexpectedly, saying he wants to talk to Detective Cholnick. Not because he wants to talk about the homicide or about Miss Pitcher. Mr. Danielle is worried that he's going to be charged for maybe fleeing from law enforcement.
How did you guys come to have the truck?
I came up on the truck because I seen the keys in the truck.
Okay.
And I didn't see nobody around it, so I just drove the truck. That's the only thing I did.
Who does it belong to? I don't have any idea. Was there anything strange about the truck when you found it? Nope, everything was totally fine.
Only thing we did beer run. And we was like riding around and we got pulled over.
How long had you been in that truck? Like how many days?
I can't even say.
You're not sure how many days?
No, man, I can't.
Okay.
Trained detectives know to work into the matter slowly. They don't just jump out and say, do you know Laura Pitcher? Did you kill her? They establish little facts piece by piece.
Have you left at all from Tampa once you came here?
No.
No? Haven't gone anywhere? Not back to Sebring, nowhere else? All right. Let me show you a picture. Does this girl look familiar to you?
No, man. Now, what is we getting at?
We're getting at the fact that that truck actually belongs to a girl from Sebring, right where you're from.
He says, no, I don't know her. They ask him, did you ever encounter her while you were in Sebring? No, he doesn't know her from Sebring.
Okay, I got you on video at the Shell station in Sebring last week, not Tampa. Okay, in her truck. With her. And ultimately, I find her like this in Tampa. How did we go from she's alive with you in Sebring to she's not alive here in Tampa?
I don't know where we going with this, and I don't want to say nothing, get myself in trouble. I've been truthful.
Ultimately, he decides he doesn't want to say anything further, and that's the end of that. Everything about his behavior and the facts is suspicious and establishes him as the prime suspect. There is a set period of time in which a person must go to trial. That clock starts ticking when the arrest is conducted. As law enforcement, in this case, is still waiting for forensic evidence to come in, they're going to sit and they're going to wait for those results to come in before an arrest is ultimately conducted.
With no physical evidence linking Daniel to Laura's death, investigators had no choice but to let him go. Forensic tests revealed the back seat of Laura's truck was covered in bloodstains, a chilling breakthrough in the case.
And so based on that, Laura's body is likely in the back seat of the truck at some point after she's been killed and would have been bleeding, leaving her blood in the back seat area of the truck. We get DNA off of the strap that is used to bind the victim's hands when the body is recovered. And that DNA is matched to Gary Danielle. What is also found is Gary Danielle's DNA underneath Laura's fingernails. With the DNA, the surveillance video, there is more than enough at this point to go ahead and proceed with charges.
U.S. Marshals rushed to the location and arrested the suspect.
The defendant didn't say anything at that point. He's just exercising his right to remain silent. He's not saying anything. Gary Danielle is charged with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and theft of a motor vehicle.
I was just glad that he was captured.
Justice was going to be served.
How wonderful.
There are new developments tonight in the multi-county search for a killer. Highlands County deputies now identifying the man who they think killed a woman in Tampa. Here is the picture they're working off of. Investigators think that Gary Danielle is in Highlands County. They say forensic evidence links him to the October murder of 28-year-old Laura Peacher. She was last seen alive in Sebring, where she lived. Deputies know that she traveled to Tampa with Danielle. Her body was later found behind a dumpster on 15th Street North. If you know where Gary Danielle might be, go ahead and call Crime Stoppers.
Justice was served, but one precious life was lost forever.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories that delve deep into the heart of the human experience.